Welcome, 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 welcome to Shakti Sundays. I am your host, your guide, your friend, Brooke Grove. I am a near-death experiencer, a healer, teacher, a poet, an author, and a mother, which is ultra important today. So to those of you who are joining me in real time, or what we call real time, across all time and space at a later time. I welcome you. I welcome you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. There is so much that has been coming through from my multidimensional family, my star brothers and sisters. I am a conscious channel, and there has been a lot of communication this morning. As always, I spend about an hour in the creation current or activating the field prior to coming on live. And I have written some of it down in light language, which I'll have to translate if it feels resonant to the energies that step into today's conversation. So I see the chat is starting to move. Wonderful. Thank you for being here. I'm just moving some of the energy that's coming in. As you arrive, I invite you to truly arrive. All of you. Bring it all, not just the physical, not just the energetic, not just the emotion. Bring all of your beingness. And I ask that you really begin to breathe into creation. No efforting, no force, no breath work, as you may or may not know it. Just simply breathing into the creation current, breathing into this moment, arriving fully. Whatever that looks like for you, there is no right or wrong. And just allowing yourself to begin to move or pulsate with creation. Allow the vitality of the one that goes by many names and none at all, the ineffable, to co-create with you as we begin to co-create together. So whatever that means, it can be movement. I like a lot of galactic field work. It can be sound, if that applies for you. It could be chakra sounds. It can be just simply shaking, getting any excess energy you're bringing in from the astral, from dream time, or from a busy morning, perhaps. Just allowing all of those things to be in another space and arriving right here, right now, all of you. Whatever is arising, it is all welcome here. So again, happy Mother's Day to those of you that are physical mothers, those of you who are nurturers and care for our earth or steward our children in other ways. Those of you especially, and this goes out to many persons, have your own perhaps toxic or difficult history with the mother, be it your physical mother, be it perhaps she's transitioned, or perhaps it was a difficult childhood. I just want to hold space for that. This can be a very activating day for many people. So I honor you and I witness you exactly as you are, however all of that is landing for you. Personally, I am deeply honored, deeply honored that those of you that are here with me today are here live and holding space. As many of you know, I am a single parent, and I have been for the past 7 years. I left domestic violence at that time and fought very hard for my children and for myself. And it has been a rebirthing and a remothering these past 6 or so years, wherein I've had to really look at my relationship with not just my birth mother, but with also the feminine, and with wounding and how we reparent ourselves in the midst of trauma. And now, as I've done that hard and holy work of healing and meeting my inner children and my victimization, which was very, 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 very real, I now have a very different relationship with the mother archetype. And I'm just really stoked to share some of that with you. There was some information that came through in a multitude of ways, but it's all congruent. So I do wish to share this in reverence to my Palladian star mothers and brothers and sisters that wanted this information to come through. Again, it's come through in a multitude of ways. I'm going to do my best to translate it in the moment, as again, it doesn't exactly come through in the way we express our words. And I do want to communicate them in a way that you all will understand. So again, as you receive this, I invite you to breathe in creation, to pulse with creation, to harmonize with creation. Remember, everything is creation. Even if you are resisting these words, especially, in fact, that constriction is creation. It's an invitation. It's an invitation. Be with it, witness it, no judgment, no shame. Step into that unconditional mother energy. And so again, this is coming forward from Palladian teams in particular. They embody their frequency. I could not say enough good things about their frequency. Their frequency is what I call the divine mother essence. It is beyond your physical mother. It is the mother of all creation. It is this joyful, playful, almost childlike maternal essence. And so as they came forward, they just want to remind us to come forward into creation, into our lives, into this moment with softness, with a whisper, with a white rose, with the divine Trinity, with the tree of life, the tree of wisdom. Their energy, their frequency, their unconditional divine mother essence is a frequency healing, and it is here on earth in abundance right now. Many of you that resonate with these words or my frequency share this star heritage. You cannot perceive with ears the depths of these frequencies. Many of you will receive them through the heart, all 3 levels, or perhaps with clairaudience. It is very much a feeling healing. You have to be open to receive these frequencies. And open simply means saying yes. You do not need to know how. You do not need to effort. You simply need to say yes. You are a sovereign being. Give your permission to the highest and best lights. They are here to assist you in abundance. As you receive, as you allow these currents, these frequencies, these creation codes to pour through from the cosmos, from the heavens, you receive in trust. And I know for myself, trust is a big ask as a trauma survivor. So I don't expect, and they don't expect, that this is something that you're organically open to. But ask, ask, ask. And again, the angels and the interdimensionals and the highest and best will assist you. Simply ask, simply ask. They remind us to sit tall, to lengthen our spine. Our spine is the conduit, it's the opener to the channels, to the higher dimensions, which we all carry the capacity for in our DNA. Expand your spine. Really breathe. Again, breathe that creation current into your vertebrae. Just imagine it expanding. We carry so much constriction, particularly survivors of any fashion, in the polyvagal system in the back of the neck. They offer that we can bring our chin to our chest, simply going like this. That opens the God chakra in the back of your neck. And it's also a big relief mechanism for those of us with heavy trauma histories. Again, very, very gentle, simple techniques. Sitting up straight, asking for assistance, and then bowing the head and allowing that to come in and open, 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 open. And again, intention is medicine when we're working with the higher realms. Simply ask, simply ask, simply ask. They remind us that spirituality at its best, at its best, at its absolute best, is play. Life is play at its absolute best. And we all have this capacity for authentic recalibration. If there's any scaffolding, as I like to call it, or internal mechanisms that automate as I'm sharing this, just acknowledge them as internal architecture. They have served in the building of your character, in the building of your story. Yet they are not serving where you are going, beloveds, because where we are going as a collective is beyond story, at least the stories we know. It is beyond the trauma. It is beyond the pain. It is a place of unconditional, non-judgmental, non-shaming, utter expansion. It is a place I saw in my near-death experience. It is so beautiful and so poetic that words fail to translate. It's magnificent. And beloveds, my star mothers want you to know nothing more than you already carry the codes for this in your DNA. There are 12 strands within our DNA at present. A 13th is currently activating, and it brings me so much joy to say that. I mean, just what a joy. I didn't even realize when I picked the number 13 for my book's release in July, how much that number was aligned to everything. It was an unconscious choice. Consciously, I did know it aligned to the divine feminine and the former way that we oriented our calendar with the moon cycles, et cetera, et cetera. Yet when I began to really see the depths of the connection and the correlation to this number, I got all the more excited. And as many of you know, as I've shared it here, my son just turned 13 on April 3rd. He was born in 2013. So that number is very sacred to me. Threes were a huge part of my coma and my near-death experience. It was 3.5 days. 3 organs failed. I was guided by 3 angels, and my son was born 3 years later, organically, on said date, after they told me I would never, ever bear children. So my journey to motherhood has been complicated and beautiful, and I wouldn't change any of it, despite the horrors of what I went through with domestic violence and some rose frequencies coming through really heavy right now as I say this. Rose frequency is the best. I mean, it's literally like the love frequency, but I'm just moving it as I was getting a little bit stuck for a moment. So the rose is just super important. My children are super important to how we're co-creating today. I honor them. You can see their photos back here. They're much, much older now, so I feel comfortable sharing those photos. They also do not have my last name, and they're not enrolled in the traditional education system, nor are they on social media. So in that way, they're completely protected. Yet I wanted them to be in the space with us today, as it's just so important for me as a mother, and just because they've co-created so much of what has led me here today. I firmly believe that children are the medicine keepers. They come in highly activated. And if that's nurtured, if that's witnessed, if that's loved, they can stay that way. And I've failed in many ways as often as I've succeeded, but I can say that at 13, my son's gifts are extremely intact. I anticipate if he chooses to develop them, they will go worlds beyond my own. And that is a great delight to my system. With that, I want to honor a little bit about what it's like to be a highly sensitive, intuitive child born into this world where the maternal archetype has really suffered. And, I can say when I was channeling my books, I'm a conscious channel. So I was consciously channeling them as the stories were coming through. And I was very discerning about what was highest and best, highest and best, highest and best, what serves, what serves, what serves, and really dissolving all egoic structures, which wanted to censor or wanted to be portrayed a certain way. I mean, that took work. Our minds have been conditioned for survival and they want to look good. And here I am like, no, I want to tell the raw, hard and holy truth. And I want to honor the traumas in my blood, but also the wisdom. And so with that, I'm going to publicly share a paragraph. I've shared nothing from the book thus far. So this is a special Mother's Day treat. It's just a simple paragraph, but it gives you an idea of what it's like to come in as a fully activated, star child that does not have the supportive network. And again, I want to be really clear that my mother had her own very deep, very real current life trauma coming from the maternal line. So she couldn't give me what she didn't have. And I just want to honor that because my grandmother, I love her so much. And this chapter was called is called The Mystery of the Rose. And I'm wearing her rose ring that she gave me. And so I honor them. And yet we couldn't be more radically different in so many ways. So this is a little bit about a taste of my childhood. When summer grass pressed its green wisdom into bare feet, I would come alive again. For a moment, I'd rest my hands over newly painted flowers, knowing that my roots could never be contained. And still, I ached to share my roots with someone. Even as a small child, I missed an unconditional connection I could not describe. I did not remember its origins, yet its loss was recorded in the ancient forest of my soul. And I don't know about you, my star brothers and sisters, but I know, or my cosmic family, our family of light, however you choose to receive those words, I felt alienated and alone and different pretty much upon arrival on this earth. And that wasn't any one person's fault. I was just at a different frequency than the family that I chose to incarnate through. And I now understand the medicine of that and why it was necessity for my soul to evolve through this. But it's not an easy thing to choose. And it's not something that I take lightly. And I see it in a lot of children now. In the 1980s, when I was growing up, I was an outlier because there weren't many highly sensitives in the room. There wasn't even the label of neurodivergence. There certainly wasn't the label of rainbow children or star seeds, at least not in the popular vernacular. And so it was very isolating. It was very confusing. particularly as I acknowledged my gifts when I was a very young child. I was vocal about it. I didn't know you weren't supposed to be. So I was just always saying, my angels, or I was talking to the fairies, or, all of the things. And that was just not that there was no space for that in a traditional Sicilian Roman Catholic family. It just, it was seen as witchcraft. And that caused me, before my earliest big traumas, to begin to suppress my gifts. And when I suppressed my gifts, beloved, I disconnected in a major, major heart-wrenching way from the Divine Mother. I did not understand that. Yet I would come to learn it later as my near-death gifts unfolded. I want to make sure I had all of their points, but yes. So I really want to just honor that and honor this like rose code that's so deep with us today and so juicy and so magical. The things that are so amazing about roses is that for me as a Pleiadian, they're a portal to another world. But as an individual, as a person beyond the star heritage, they are so delicate and yet they are so fierce. And if I had to describe the Divine Mother, it would be like that. She is everything. She is the color I'm wearing, and that color is very, very dear to me as it comes from both the higher heart chakra and also the Pleiades. It's that's why we see it associated with Mother Mary, and it just is this color of like unconditional love and that frequency of comfort and healing and all of the things. The rose emits that same frequency, despite whatever color it appears in, and yes, often in pink or reds, or as they brought through earlier, white, which I love white. White is important right now because white is the dove medicine, and we need a lot of dove medicine right now. The Pleiades are forever associated with when their stars rise and also their origin story. And, it's wild because when I woke up to my Pleiadian heritage, I knew nothing about their origin story in the stars, nothing about the mythology, nothing about how they'd been revered throughout all time and space, all history. So many cultures revere the Pleiades star system. It is a cluster of 7 stars. And according to Greek mythology, they were 7 sisters that were pursued by the hunter Orion. And they were terrified and they wanted to escape him constantly following them and stalking them. And so Zeus turns them into doves and they are released into the heavens here on earth. Eventually, Orion is so relentless in his pursuit that Zeus is said to have transformed them into the 7 stars, which is how we know them today. They bring light to the darkest of darkness. And an interesting tidbit I just learned this week, which is so timely and resonant, as in addition to Mother's Day, my birthday is this forthcoming week on Saturday. And mid-May, which my birthday is on the 16th, and my father's is on the 15th, we share a birth portal window, and my uncle's is also on the 16th. So it's like a big family birthing center, also a death center. We've had a lot of people transition there. So it's an extremely potent portal in my bloodline. That said, mid-May is when the Pleiades rise in our sky. So a Pleiadian sister was like, do you know your birthday is like exactly when the stars begin to rise in the sky? I did not know that. So yay, that's fun too. So we honor the Pleiades now. We honor Taurus. Taurus as a sign, my sun sign and my rising sign, is what actually is deeply connected to the Pleiades star system, as the bull is part of it. Taurus, Venus, all of the things that play heavily into my personal soul astrology very, very deeply resonate with the Pleiadian star system. And then my grandmother grew these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful English roses, which brings me back to the complexity of the rose. The rose, much like the Divine Mother, has this velvet softness, this way of unfolding exactly when She's ready. You cannot rush it. You cannot force it. And yet that softness is protected. It is protected by the fierceness, by the tenacity of the thorn. And I love roses as an example of how to be a highly sensitive person in this world. You don't force your healing. You do not force your growth. And you do not have to share your sweet fragrance with everyone. You are protected. You are a child of the cosmos, a child of the stars, and a child of this earth mother. You are both, beloveds. You are both, as am I. And with that, we have the sovereignty. We have the power to stand in our divine radiance, to be both, to be soft and to be fierce. And the Divine Mother, as I know her, as I know my beloved star mothers and sisters and brothers, she does not favor your lightness. She does not look away from your darkness. She witnesses and she unconditionally holds absolutely it all of it with tenderness, all of it, all of it, all of it. I don't know about you, beloveds, but I grew up in a patriarchal system, an authoritarian system where emotions were not witnessed, they were not received, they were not allowed. The only emotion that any space was ever held for was rage. And that, to a highly sensitive child that feels it all, that talks to the plants and the flowers and knows they are conscious, sentient beings too, that was a very disharmonious experience to step into, particularly when you know where your oversoul has come from. And my oversoul, to those of you that know the dimensions and know the frequencies, is 12D. I come from a space where there is only unity. That's why going into my NDE was such a homecoming for me. It was such a return. It was so, the thing I'd been waiting for, the thing I had known yet couldn't put my finite momentary hands on. I was returning to that place where there is no separation. There is absolutely no separation. And my Pleiadian star mothers and sisters come from 6D and 12D. Really, that's where my oversoul originates too. And I imagine many of you share a 7D to 12D frequency. That's really where your cosmic lineage, your 13th strand of DNA, which is activating these light codes that are coming in. All these things that you're seeing right now that look so painful, they are the dying of the old. And as I have said, and I will continue to say, we are having a collective near-death experience. And before we can rush to the transcendence and rush to the cosmic awe and the connection with the ineffable and the unconditional peace and the divine love and all the things, you and I are here to co-mother into reality. And that is what we are doing, beloveds. That is why I'm holding space now, to remind you, to enliven you, and to invite you to co-create that here and now. That is the invitation. But before we get to the active part of said invitation, we have to hold space for what's currently going on. Remember, creation is everything, 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 everything. And that includes destruction. That includes death. That includes chaos. All of those things are aspects of creation. You, beloveds, have the capacity as a sovereign being, and that means by disconnecting from all false senses of power, all places you've given your true, righteous, co-creative abilities to. And that's Could be thousandfold, it can be tenfold, it can be the immediacy of your family sphere or your job or whatever. But the reality is you have to begin disconnecting from the places that you are leaking energy to step into this power. And as you do that, you can witness the destruction without feeding it, without becoming part of the chaos, part of the frequency. Remember, as the Pleiades teach us, even the darkest sky illuminates when a bright light walks into it, or seven, or all of you. So remember right now, you are carrying Sophia Christos codes. You have everything in you you need to shine. It's an art of removing and remembering, to me, more than even activating, because Mother Gaia is activating it for you. As her frequency continues to rise, so will our ascension. But the invitation is not to go out of your body, dear ones. That's a misnomer, and it's a new age, or a new cage, as I like to call it, misconstruct or misuse of righteous energy. It isn't about going out of your body. As someone that's had many, many, many out-of-body experiences and lived dissociated for decades, I can tell you that the only way you can truly serve, that you can truly do this work, is to be embodied. True ascension is dissension. It is going in. It is bringing all of those light codes down. It is allowing them to penetrate all three levels of the heart, your bridge, your medicine, and then bringing them down into the trauma centers, which for most of us are the lower wisdom centers, the solar, the sacral, and the root. As you allow these codes to come into those spaces, as you mother yourself in those spaces, you will begin to come alive with creation. And I want to put this out there for those of you that might resonate with this. I'm not sure, where you are in your healing journeys, but for me, when I was consciously channeling the third and final version of my book, which will be with you shortly here in July, if you choose, it was really incumbent that I look at how what I was still struggling with my trauma, which was a prolific sense of shame and judgment, despite my NDE gifts. If I was activated, particularly with domestic violence wounds, those of you that understand, when you're in a domestic violence container for a prolonged period of time and you literally fear getting out and that you may not make it, you are attacked over and over, but it's not the physical that destroys you. That stuff heals much faster. It's what they do to your wounding internally that does the most damage. It's the way that they make you feel powerless and worthless and ugly and small and broken. Those places take a lot more tenderness, a lot more time, and a lot more love. And though I had left the situation and I had won full physical custody of my children, I still carried some of the inner scaffolding from the wounding that he had projected. But beloveds, remember, another person's behavior is always, always, always a reflection of their inner scaffolding. The reason it landed so deeply in my system was because I had already formed a, very, very dysfunctional and very broken garden of my own traumas and my own pains. And when he said those things, they had a place to land. And rather than growing roses, I allowed the weeds to dominate that field. And then a simple activation, like someone saying something on a YouTube video for my NDE, could bring up all of these like potent, messengers of unworthiness and shame. And I don't stigmatize those things anymore. And I never stigmatize them in other people upon my return. But beloveds, I'm a truth teller. And unfortunately, I did stigmatize them for years against myself. I did believe them. I did embody them. I did behave terribly when activated in those places, because I didn't know how to mother them. My mother and my grandmother, they didn't have the skill sets that I have and that I've had the opportunity to learn. They didn't have a world where it was safe to talk about these things. They didn't have the financial resources to study many of the things I've studied and go down the paths that I've been blessed to have. So I honor them as I honor my shame, as I honor my grief, as I honor my righteous rage, as I feel the shame, the grief, the disgust, the righteous rage of the feminine here and now in our culture, in our awakening world. Those messengers are not to be dismissed. They are holy. They are holy. But we need to meet them with that rose frequency. We need to meet them with unconditional love, with a mother's love. And so I invite you, if you're called, to check out the Seven Sisters Mystery School. My friend Marguerite has put together some really, really cool offerings, but the one I want to offer you on Mother's Day specifically are her teachings as channeled from the palm leaf manuscripts, but it is called the Holy Womb Chakra. Okay, so the course is the Holy Womb Chakra. If you want to do some extraordinarily deep work, and you do need to feel the call and the resonance as I share this to really be going in that direction, because this is deep, deep work. These are manuscripts that are said to have been from the multidimensional, from the star families I've described, but they came to Earth through conscious channels, and they were inscribed on the palm leaf manuscripts. And these palm leaf manuscripts are said to have guided Magdalene and Yeshua in their sacred union arts, and also Buddha and Krishna and many other avatars that have walked this earth. And what it does, and it's just so cool, it invites you in a series of practices using mantra, sound, and yantra, sacred image, to connect with the universal divine mother chakra. And to begin this journey, and I have done it and I still do it every single day, though I've done it the traditional way that they taught, and I've shifted it a bit to personalize it for my lineage. It is revolutionary what it does. One of the practices is simple mother gazing. I've shared this with some of my clients that may be here today. You're just putting, and you can do it with a father too. I found it very effective for those struggling with sacred father wounding. You really have to commit to it though. And I'm going to own that this is a very activating practice initially. You simply find an image of the person, whether they're alive or they're deceased, and you look for one where the eyes are staring straight forward. If you don't have an image like that, you are free to draw it from your own knowing. And you're going to take that image and you put it on an altar. And for 40 days and 40 nights, you mother and or father gaze into the eyes. And you simply say, thank you for birthing me. Thank you for giving me life. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. So you get a little bit of the flavor of the Polynesian prayer that comes into that, but it's actually born of Indian Sanskrit texts. And you're going to do that 40 days and 40 nights. And what the intentionality is that as you're mother gazing and you're directing your divine energy, you are forgiving the womb that brought you into this earth. You are loving and forgiving simultaneous. It's a very Palladian message. So loving and forgiving, one and the same, showing eternal, unconditional compassion for what brought you into this world. No matter what the story is, no matter what the relationship, you are loving and you are forgiving. And you do that for 40 days and 40 nights. And what's beautiful is even if you're weeping, as I was, I included photos of my maternal bloodline because I wanted to work for my grandmother too. And so they're all up there and I was doing it with all of them. It was just such a beautiful poetic practice. And then there's yantra and mantra that really expedites this process. But as you get into the mantra and the yantra, You heal your wound with the divine mother. There is a womb chakra within the cosmos. That is where we all come from. That is the creation portal. And so you're clearing the portal in your own lineage. And then once that channel's nice and open and you've restored that beautiful love, then you're expanding it all the way out, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out to the creation current, to the divine mother herself. And I'm telling you, that's how you step into the miracle field. I mean, I did this work. I knew I was going to consciously channel, and Spirit gave me some tall orders. They're like, you're going to do a whole new book. Like it had its etiology with the past variations. You're going to do a whole new book, and you're going to do it in 30 days. I was like, yeah, right. But they were absolutely right. They were absolutely right. I channeled it. I started on March 1st. I finished it on the Easter portal, and I was editing at that point. I finished on April 1st. So this is literally a technology that's available to everyone. And if you do the work, and again, beloveds, you got to do the work. If you just buy the course and you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. But if you do the work and you show up and you get into that frequency and you forgive and you forgive and you forgive, miracles happen. Miracles happen. I can tell you my own family is not stoked that I wrote this book, because I was transparent that, it's about multi-generational trauma. It's about epigenetics. It goes deeply into my own wounding history. And, I've done the work. I've forgiven everyone. I say nothing to cause any harm, but I do speak to the facts that occurred. And my mother witnessed my altar in my bedroom. She witnessed like my frequency, and she knows the way that I am with my boys. And she took it all with an extraordinary grace and ease that is uncharacteristic of her. And I know it's because when we do the work, when we do the energetic field work for our family, when we alter our frequency by committing to this work, we heal ourselves across all minds, all bodies, all timelines, all consciousness, and we heal them too. As the indigenous shamans of old have long said, it's 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. So the invitation from me on this Mother's Day is to really sit with what the word mother, or the frequency mother, means to you, and to witness that with so much compassion and so much tenderness and so much love, and witness it, but allow yourself, in whatever way makes sense for you, to begin to shift that narrative. And even if it's as simple as, saying thank you for birthing me, that's a start. And it can grow. I would never, ever encourage premature forgiveness. As a trauma survivor, I know better than that. Yet you can hold space for, this was awful, and I love that I'm alive. I love that you birthed me. I loved that you were my portal into this world. So I invite you to sit with that and to find resonance wherever it may align for you. I'm going to drop into the chat now. I see you guys going back and forth, but I've been channeling and didn't want to get caught up because it's so easy. Hi, so nice to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that so many of you are here. Thank you for the Mother's Day greetings. And hi, Serenity. Happy Mother's Day. Hi, Robin. Happy Mother's Day. Hey, James. Thank you guys for all the Mother's Day love. Ned, welcome, welcome, welcome. Chris, you made it. Yay, I'm happy. Chris joined us late last time. So I was like, be here this week if you can. And he was teasing me that I was going to be doing this on Mother's Day. I'm like, absolutely. Again, you guys, for me, Mother's Day, the past 7 years or so, it was historically rough. And after, literally The Beauty in the Broken Glass, where my title of my memoirs comes from, but after the fall, which ironically was just 5 months ago on Friday, May 8th was 5 months since the fall, I have had such a dramatically different relationship with the mother in my own life, and also this day. And so it's actually such a joy to just hold space with you guys and celebrate. I'm going to celebrate with my kids later. And I'm just so sovereign in being a single mother right now, and such a witness to what we've overcome together. My children were so young when this all began, and I'm just so proud of us. So to me, they've helped mother me back. So I'm going to honor them as the divine children that they are and have so much fun today. So thank you for starting the day. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome, welcome. And Lupe, I see you in there too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just so honor you guys for being here and starting this day with me. I just love it. I love that you're all exchanging Mother's Day wishes. And Jen, I knew you would resonate when I was saying about coming in. You know, Jen and I are both openly aware of our priestess history and very involved with the priestess path in the here and now. So it's just such an honor. You know, it was so wild. We're near-death sisters, and she and I have been in a documentary together. And when she was going really deep into her Magdalene journey, I hadn't even put out publicly that I was kind of like in the depths of all that myself. So it was just like this beautiful divine alignment, and I just loved it. Oh, and then Jen sharing about how the knowingness that her own mother was Pleiadian and that she is too, and the Taurus connection. Yes, 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 yes. Gemini is also deeply connected with the Pleiades. So yes, and I love it. I love it. I love that Chris said no bad vibes in here. I love that. Thank you, Chris, for that. And you're back. Yay, yay, yay. And Jen, I'm glad that it resonated the way that I explained it. I love what you brought up about your mother, because as I wrote the book, it became so evident when I would describe the ways that my grandmother and my mother responded, that they share this heritage, but because of situational triggers, meaning, you know, they lived in poverty. My grandmother was a single mom as well. And yet times were different, and she didn't have the resources. She didn't have the support. The dad wasn't in the picture. And so they struggled. They struggled really, really greatly. And that's impacted my mom in ways I can't even begin to comprehend. I see the energetic and the psychological toll here now, all these years later. But my grandmother, I mean, that's why there's so many chapters about her in the book. I remember when I was a small child, she just recognized, you know, that I was different, and she would honor me as an old soul. But she had this capacity to tell stories like, now I know she was channeling them. I thought she was making them up, but she had this capacity just to go into stories, and they were always like medicinal, and I always felt like witnessed and seen, and I always wanted more. She would stop one story and I'd be like, please keep going, and it would be bedtime and I couldn't stay up all night. But she was just amazing in that way, and she had this capacity that though she didn't have a lot monetarily, she had the biggest heart that I've ever really known in a caretaker. And she loved me unconditionally, and she never cared about optics, about anything. It was all felt, it was all sensory. And that is so beautiful. And I'm so glad that we are waking up, so many of us, to our star heritage. Remember, 12 strands of DNA. That's also 12 related to the star tribes that helped co-create humanity. So all of us, whether we may know it or not, carry some of this galactic knowing. And the galactic said one more thing I think I want to bring in here. And this was a couple of days ago in a channeling event I was doing with Portal to Ascension. They really wanted to make it clear that the light field, or the expanded consciousness, again, that creation current in humanity, has been consciously suppressed so that you feel small, so that you feel powerless. But this wave is changing. And they really, and they did this with me with the book and with the way that I chose to channel it. They really want you to know that 2026 is a manifestation portal. We need to be extremely mindful of our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors right now, because our inner realities directly are manifesting. So if you're choosing to give all your power to the noise, you are going to create chaos inside. If you consciously disconnect, and I don't mean bypass, I just mean don't participate in the circus. You can witness it all without giving your energy to it. Okay, that takes energetic boundaries. And if you need help for that, look at one of the Saturn stories I recently did on energetic hygiene. It's a good precursor to that kind of discussion. But they really want us to pay attention to the internal world more than this. This is where they're taking your power. They want you here. They're siphoning your light. They're keeping you disconnected from the highest light and resonance. So go in, go in, go in. If the noise is getting to you, the chaos is getting into you, the invitation is to go in. And they really wanted to make it clear that many of you are waking up to soul sensory modalities. If you've witnessed my journey and heard my story and my talk about my after effects, that was the hardest work. My soul sensory modalities came on through the ability to see the energetic field, through the ability, a heightened sense of the C's that I already had with clairaudience and clairsentience and all the things. And then, my capacities as a highly sensitive and an empath and a star seed. It was all fully activated. For many of you, telepathy will be coming on in this year or beyond, in the next 2 years for certain. Telepathy is how we connect to the higher realms. You'll know the difference. The frequency is different when the higher dimensionals come through. And again, higher dimensional beings that are benevolent will only ever make you feel love. If you are feeling anything that is not love, you release, you cut cords with that. That is not an energy you want in your space. And again, notice I always consciously channel. I let nothing in. Everything is allowed in my field with my permission if it's from the highest light and resonance, but nothing comes straight through. That is a choice that keeps me sovereign. I've learned the hard way. But yes, they really want to know, and this is what's so exciting, and this is why I really returned to these offerings, that universal wisdom is being revealed simultaneously to the great disclosure that we're underway. Meaning, you can pay attention to the noise. You can pay attention to the chaos. They're going to keep feeding you matrix-oriented division. That's what the dark wants. It wants to keep you out of your power. It wants to siphon your light. And yet, at the same time, there's many of us, many of you in this group that are clear and sovereign. We are creation currents, and through us, the higher dimensions speak. And through us, the highest and the most optimum outcome of the highest light and resonance, of the expansion of humanity, of the activation of our 13th strand of DNA, of our spiritual awareness, that which will take us to heaven on earth, is encoded in our frequency, in our words. Many of you do not need to channel. You simply need to be. You being in your light is an act of creation with the Divine Mother. Anytime we are coming from unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, non-judgment, and non-shame, we are embodying the Sophia Christos family. We are carrying the codes of sacred union. We are alive with the wisdom of Christ consciousness paired to the beauty of our activating and ascending Mother Gaia Sophia. So please take that energy out into your days. I'm just seeing what else is going on here in the chat and just moving a little bit of the stuff that's arising. Feels pretty good though, so that's good. But any activations, just be swift and kind to them. Look them in the mirror of your heart and just hold them sacred. Because again, any feeling, any activation, it is not good, it is not bad, it is not right, it is not wrong, it simply is. And when we meet these pieces, these parts we want to look away from with compassion, we begin to embody the Divine Mother. And that embodiment, even if you only have the threshold to do it for a moment, begins to change your field. And your field in light, changing, activating, opening, aware, expanding, that field is in resonance to heaven on earth. So I'm so stoked that so many of you joined me today. I do want to say, feel free to check out any of the Jupiter sessions. They have like little practices that will help you with all of this. Saturn stories, I kind of translate it. So please join me on Transmission Thursdays. If called, that offering is at 11 a.m. They go back to back. Always check out the videos if that resonates for you instead, as I understand that's an awkward time. I have a new offering though, and it's specific to this group. There are so many that have been reaching out from my NDE interviews and also within this container that want to do the work, but they cannot afford it in the current economy. So I am doing something very rare, very new, just kind of feeling it out. I am hosting an integration circle where all the teachings that come through in any particular week are welcome, or you bring whatever is pertinent that day. I am only charging $22 all the way up to $222, whatever you can afford. I don't care what the monetary exchange is within those numbers. This is about holding space. So if you're called, there will be another circle next week, immediately after Shakti Sundays, where I will be privately on Zoom with whomever resonates with that. I will hold space. I will consciously channel. I will heal. I will teach. It will just be about what you're bringing in, and it will be an active co-creation between my beingness and yours. So if you need support right now, if you're a light worker and you're struggling, or you want to talk about how to get the density off, or how to lead with compassion, or you simply want to be around a group of other persons like yourself and you want to be present with us, my Venmo is in the show notes. You can just send whatever and join us next week. I'm excited to kick off our inaugural session with those of you that were called today. So thank you guys again so much for being here. Absolutely on your way out, please go and like this video. Please comment on the actual video, as it helps it, as my channel is very consciously small. I am not spreading this openly, publicly, everywhere right now. I want it to be intimate. I want it to be cozy. I want to welcome you into my home, into my heart, into my life, into my beingness, and be able to receive all of you. It makes me so stoked that you showed up today. Thank you for beaming me with love and getting my birthday week and Mother's Day week off to a highly auspicious start. So it's just such an honor. It's just such an honor. And thank you, Dan. I just saw you're here too. So yay. It's just so nice to see all of you as well. You guys are so welcome. Thank you for holding space. This is a co-creation. Remember, everything is a co-creation. So again, please like or comment on your way out, just as an energy exchange for today's offering, for today's frequencies. And again, I thank you for your beingness. It was just such a joy to begin this day with so many beloved friends and clients and soul family and all the good stuff. To those of you that are joining me in Zoom, just give me about 5 minutes and I invite you to go move your bodies and drink some water, please. Again, all of you, drink some water and move your bodies. These are pretty high frequencies that I am always blasting out, and sometimes you're going to really need to ground it at the end of the session. So take a walk, move around, move your body, yawn, whatever you need to do. I love you. I will see you next week. Shakti Sundays begins every week at 9 a.m. PST. Thank you for being here. Thank you for humaning with me. Biggest heartfelt love. Bye.